Welcome to the Stack and Stats podcast. I am your host, Pam Maldonado, joined by Miss Kelly in Vegas, and we are here to do our thing and bring you all the analytics behind the NFL bets. Because yes, we are in a contest. We went 3-2 last week. Want to keep this going. Kelly, how do you feel about how week 1 went?
Week 1 was great. I mean, Pam, whenever that many dogs are barking, how can I complain? I didn't expect it to go that well. I mean, I think I gave out 7 games on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this is so many plays. Ended up going 5-2. That's a great week for me. I will take 3-2 any week because then I'd be living on this beach behind me if that was the case. So we should be pretty happy. Start off 3-2. At least we weren't the same guys that picked Jaguars in all 6 of the survivor pools because I was just floored. Somebody texted me and I go, I don't believe it. And sure enough, I looked and I'm like,
it
wow.
really did happen.
So, 3-2 is really great. And we didn't make I don't think any bad bets. And I think that's something that we can build off in week 2.
So we're going to do things. This week is a little tough because Kelly and we didn't agree on a lot. So I'm going to stick with what Kelly said is her absolute best bet. I'm going to stick with what I think is my best bet. And then the 3, we're going to kind of go with a bunch of ugliness. That's what it is. It's a bunch of ugly. So here's the thing. She sent me 7 games. I'm opposite on 4. So instead of kind of debating back and forth, trying to convince one of the other, I think we should just stick to what do you feel super strong about, what I feel super strong about, see if we agree, take it from there, and we can maybe change our strategy next week if that doesn't work out. But I think we're confident enough in that, hey, we like these enough that potentially we can still end up on a positive 3-2 note. That being said, your best bet for this week is the Colts plus 3.5 at home to the Rams. This freaking scares me. I love Matthew Stafford. He looked absolutely fantastic last week. I'm going to give you my side. And I know this is your best bet. I want to hear it. I want to tell you what I am terrified of.
So Pam, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No. The Colts, they let Russ cook. 79% completion, forced 3 sacks, and still Russell Wilson had 4 passing touchdowns, including giving up a 69-yard pass. Is Matthew Stafford not exactly a Russell Wilson of last week?
Matthew Stafford looked really, 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 really good on Sunday night. But did the Bears look good at all? No, that Bears defense didn't. Andy Dalton was not to blame for that loss. This was a Bears defense that should have played much better, especially because they've seen Matthew Stafford 2 times a year prior to this. I was kind of shocked at how bad they actually looked. Yes, Matthew Stafford looked great. So one of our casinos in Las Vegas puts out the look-ahead lines, and those lines come out before the games the week before even played. The look-ahead line on this, Pam, was Colts minus 1.5.
Oh, really?
I was so floored to see that jump in the line move. Now, do you think I would have bet on Carson Wentz? No, I don't. Mr. Fumble King himself? No, I hate it. This is so ugly, but I have to trust the system that has done so well for me. Last year was the best NFL season I've ever had. I want to keep it rolling into this year, so I'm trying not to overthink it. Not only coupled with the look-ahead line, Matthew Stafford has been a horrendous road favorite. Fine, we can throw that stat out the window because he played for the Lions. I totally get it. But this line is so far gone. Not to mention, who do the Rams play next week? Oh, that's right. Tom Brady and the Bucs. I'm hoping they just coast into Indianapolis. They can win. Let's just call it 28-27. 21-20. Even 24-21 works for me here because we got the hook. I did play Colts plus 4, moved to 3.5. We're lucky enough to get the hook in the contest. I hope I didn't overthink it too much, but you want to give me that hook, I got to take it.
Like, I love college football and I'm going to trust you for NFL. If you're saying this is your best bet, girl, I'm going to believe you, especially since I know that you just crushed NFL last season. Give me the Colts and Carson Wentz. Oh my God. I'm going to hate myself on Sunday already.
How about this? We'll just pick another game to watch and then we'll just score check, just get on the score app and refresh every once in a while. Cause it could be really ugly and I may hate myself come Sunday afternoon.
And that's just one of the ugly games that we have. Another game that we have is Chargers -3 at home against the Cowboys. We're fading Matthew Stafford. We're fading Dak Prescott. What are we doing? Dallas, okay, I will say Dallas secondary, they are gosh darn awful. They gave up 379 passing yards to Tom Brady. He's great. Absolutely not the same quarterback. 7.6 yards per pass. The Chargers, though, in 4 red zone trips, which is why I don't mind taking this game, is because on 4 red zone trips, they had 2 field goals, a fumble, and an interception. Well, the Cowboys, they don't have a good defense. They're going to let them put up some of those points. They're going to be in the game. This is going to be competitive. Herbert, he's going to do what he does best, and he slings it, which I hope he can. We know he can. And Dallas, it's on back-to-back road games. Why else do you like the Chargers?
So, Pam, I try not to buy into too much what I do outside of my other bets, like my futures bets. I try not to let them dictate my bets week to week. But this Chargers team, I was so high, and I bet the Chargers to make the playoffs. I actually think the AFC West is going to have 3 teams in the playoffs, and I said that in my regular season win videos. So I'm trying to just put that bias aside because I was really high on the Chargers. Now, 3 in the hook in some of the contests we've seen, I want no part of the Chargers. But at a flat 3, I had no option here but to take the better team. And yes, we have to lay 3 points here, but I do believe that Anthony Lynn no longer being a coach of the Chargers is going to win them at least 3 or 4 more games this year. There will be no bonehead mistakes. There will be no kicking field goals when you have Justin Herbert.
Are we sure about that?
We're not 100% sure, but I feel in my soul that at least we won't see any second half collapses and the Chargers. I mean, last year, if you bet against the Chargers in the second half, you were absolutely making money. And that's just because I believe they got outcoached. Now, Herbert is a great quarterback. I do think that he is going to be able to chuck it against his defense. You mentioned it. The Dallas offense will keep them in this game. I know that, but this was such after last week being so good, this week, I wouldn't say I was necessarily being conservative, but I am going to limit my plays because I don't feel as strongly about this card. So this was one of the lines I bet Monday, knowing that it was possibly going to go to 3.5. So I caught 3. And in the contest, we got 3. Had it been 3.5, I'd have been like, nah, let's just throw it off to the side.
Yes. Yeah. And Anthony Lynn is the reason. Yes, you were talking about him. He's no longer there. So that definitely helps the cause. Still scared of shit because one of the rule of thumbs was to take the Chargers as an underdog, fade them as a favorite. Now they're a favorite against a potent Dallas offense. I'm scared of shit.
I think it's going to be great. They're going to have fans at SoFi. This is going to be the first game in SoFi. So I think this place is going to be rocking. I know there's going to be a ton of Cowboys fans per usual. There's a ton of traveling fans that go to LA and go to Chargers games, but this is going to be a really great game.
We're fading Matthew Stafford. We're fading Dak Prescott. And now we're going to fade Jameis Winston, who last week we just said Jameis forever, which is why we were on the Saints. And we're going to look instead to the Panthers +3 at home against the Saints. And I don't know what we're doing. I'm just going with it. The Saints, they have a great offensive line, yes. But how good is Winston going to be under pressure? Because this Panthers pass rush looks like it could be a definite threat, but they were facing the Jets. So that is my one concern, who has a terrible offensive line. But in last week, the Saints had 170 rushing yards. If they can't get that ground game going, then how is Jameis Winston going to react to some of that quarterback pressure? I like Carolina. They're 8-2 against the spread in the last 10 as an underdog. The Panthers are 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games overall. The one trend that scared me was that they are 2-6-1 against the spread in their last 9 as a home underdog. What do we think about the Panthers?
So if anybody's watching a trend here, I'm fading the quarterbacks that looked really great in week 1. And I didn't purposely do that. But week 2 is historically known for overreactions, Pam.
Right.
I love Jameis. I can't tell you, I was at a bar in Detroit, and every time I looked up, the Saints were in the red zone. And because it was my best bet, and everybody told me how stupid I was for betting against the Packers, especially because it was a neutral site game in Jacksonville, it made it feel so much better. So I do feel a little dirty betting against my boy Jameis week 2. But I do believe that there were some major mistakes made by Aaron Rodgers last week that benefited that Saints defense. Jameis did make some really awesome plays, and I don't want to discredit that. The Panthers, on the other hand, played the Jets. I don't think that they really cared that much. I know if you watch the game, I didn't really get to catch very much of it because I was at the Lions game, but every time I was in club level, I'd watch them like, do they really care right now? Like, you should be stomping this Jets team and capitalizing, and they weren't. This week, I think we're going to see a different Panthers team. As you mentioned, they do have a great pass rush. They do have a much better defensive line, and I think that we will see some pressure on Jameis this week. I think this is going to be a very close game. I thought we were getting 3 in the hook. If we're not, Tell me I'm wrong. I need to pull back up those lines, but 3 in the hook was what really sold me on this game. And that is what I actually played in real life. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I know a lot of really sharp people on the Saints this week, and this one terrifies me.
We do not have the hook. We have a 3.
Okay.
Should we reconsider? I will reconsider if you want to reconsider. And Jameis here. He is on his 4th straight start, throwing 0 interceptions. I think this is the game. This is a good prop option that I was already considering for him to throw an interception against this Panthers defense.
Ooh.
That's for a prop. But now separate. Do you want to reconsider the 3?
We can table it. We can table it. And I'm curious to hear what else you like. I know I have a couple other really ugly dogs and a really ugly another favorite. So let's see if maybe we can figure it out. But I definitely like our first 2. This one, I was for some reason thinking we had the hook there.
Hesitant. Okay. So my best bet, your best bet was the scary ass Colts. Mine is kind of scary ass Eagles plus 3.5 at home against the 49ers. The 49ers, they were up 38-10 last week against the Lions. They looked absolutely fantastic until they didn't. They gave up 289 yards and 23 points in just a quarter and a half in the second half. And then they ended up winning 41-33. The Lions, they don't have a solidified bunch of weapons. Philadelphia does. So give me San Francisco. They allowed a receiving touchdown to a tight end and a running back. So give me Hurts with the Devontae Smith connection, and give me Hurts with the how do you say his name? Godert. I always miss up his name. Godert connection. Give me Hurts and Sanders. There is a viable options here, a whole bundle of box that he can play with. Jalen Hurts, and then he has the legs. So I like the Eagles at home. Yes, they looked absolutely fantastic. Could have been one of those 2. Is that an overreaction? Am I crazy here to like it? Jason Barrett is out. Maybe that helps.
Listen, I lean towards the Eagles here. This is going back to what I just said about the Chargers. I don't want to take my futures bets into too much consideration here. I want to look at it week by week. Now they played the Falcons, which we'll get to in a minute. But did the Eagles look a lot better than I thought that they would? Absolutely. And so that really kind of concerns me here, that maybe I had a wrong read on this Philly team. So I just pushed this game off to the side because I said, you know what? I wasn't that impressed. I did get to see the Niners live. I did get to watch that second half collapse where they were playing prevent defense. I did watch Jimmy G fumble right out of the gate. I mean, there were some mistakes that Niners team made that against the Lions, you can still get the win. Against this Eagles team, you might not be able to. So I'm with you on the Eagles here. Just know that I was kind of going to wait and reevaluate my opinion on the Eagles because, again, I didn't think this team was going to win 7 games.
And it's Jalen Hurts is in that second year quarterback boom that we could end up seeing. So I think we saw a glimpse of that in week 1. I'm interested in him having the full season. He looks good. Maybe I'm not overreacting. This is my best bet, so I have to trust it. I liked it for a reason. So we're going to stick with your best bet, my best bet. Our 5th, or another option that we have is, God damn it, an ugly one. We have an ugly one. We have Falcons plus 12.5 at the Bucks. The early line, you're talking about early lines. The early line for this one was 9.5 Falcons as an underdog, and the Falcons are 14-2 against the spread in their last 16 games in week 2. This is a lot of points. Falcons look you want to talk about the teams that exceeded expectations last week? The Falcons completely under just like every expectation that I had with Arthur Smith coming over to this team. Matt Ryan, he's going to have an explosive offense, just like none, not even like a glimmer of hope in that week 1 game. And yet we both like him as an underdog to the Super Bowl champs. What?
We do. And listen, that's because I do think it is an overreaction. And also I love these divisional road dogs. I meant to get with Ralph to get me a specific stat because he gave me one last year to start the season and I kept them all circled. 3 points. Maybe an overreaction, maybe not. I see this game going one of 2 ways, Pam, and I'm going to be honest with you. 1, Matt Ryan throws a late touchdown pass, we get the backdoor cover. 2, Matt Ryan throws a late interception, and we don't get the cover. And that is what scares me the most about this game, and that's what sucks. But you know what? Like I said, this week to me was a really thin card. There wasn't a lot. To be honest with you, I don't even love the Colts, and they are my best bet this week. I really like the game. I like it the most, but I'm not going to sit here and say I like the Falcons. At this point in time, it just becomes a number play. I hope I don't even have to watch this game. Can it just be, a 31-21 type game? Tom Brady does his thing. Matt Ryan doesn't make any big mistakes. They lose by 10. I'll be totally happy with that.
If we have to rely on a Matt Ryan interception to happen or not happen, a touchdown to happen or not happen in the 2-minute drill, oh my God, I'm gonna have a heart attack on Sunday. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have a bottle of my little vodka on the side trying to get a shot and calm my nerves because God, this is an ugly ass card.
It is. It really is. And you know, the fact that so many dogs were barking week one makes me even more hesitant. I know I shouldn't. I should just do the same thing that I do every single week. But I know that there's going to be a point in time where these short road favorites all come in. It happens every single year. The books just get absolutely clobbered. Usually I feel like it's like late October that happens, but there will be a weekend where it's like 9 favorites just come rolling in the morning, and they're all tied to the favorites at night in teasers and money line parlays. And then it's going to be similar to what we saw with like the Rams on Sunday night, where it's just an absolute beat down and the books get clobbered and I go 1-5. Like it's just going to be, it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen this week? It's the NFL. Let's try our best. You liked one game and I liked the opposite of it. It was your second best. When you sent me a list of 7, it was rated your second top. Well, this was also my second top and we're opposite. It was Buffalo -3.5 at Miami. You love the Dolphins. I love the Bills. So I do want to talk about this. Not that I'm trying to necessarily persuade you or want you to persuade me. I just want to hear your reasoning on liking the Dolphins this week, because I think last week they should have actually lost to the Patriots. They didn't look good.
They absolutely should have lost to the Patriots. I was on the Patriots -3, was really pissed I didn't get a cash out ticket. Happy though that adds one more loss to my Patriots season win total under. That being said, that's kind of been the narrative, right? Mm-hmm. Bills outgained the Steelers, right? The Bills were dominating the first half of that game. What did the Steelers do? They made some great halftime adjustments. Their defense really stepped up. The other narrative is, well, what did the Dolphins do? Well, the Pats lost that game, right? No one's really giving this Dolphins team very much credit.
Any credit. Mm-hmm.
And we talk about a lot, and I brought it up last week, and I got made a lot of fun for it when I said the Saints are going from a hot, humid environment to a hot, humid environment. Green Bay is coming down. That heat can kind of get to you sometimes. And that's the same thing that's going to be happening here. I am going to be headed to South Beach right after we get done taping. And let me tell you, I'm going to be melting tomorrow at the Michigan State Miami game. It is going to be a hot one on Sunday. And I think that that's something that needs to come into play a little bit. I really like Coach Brian Flores, and I didn't want to discredit him when I went over my season win preview. I was not that high on Tua, but Tua,
I'm not high on Tua still.
looks like he's going to be okay. I don't want to say he's going to be some great quarterback, but I think he's going to be okay for this Dolphins team. And I do think that unless the Bills defense are able to shut him down and the Bills are able to run the ball against the Dolphins, I could see the Dolphins pulling the home upset.
To your argument on Miami being hot, if you look at Josh Allen, he has 20 touchdowns, 17 passing, 3 rushing, 4 interceptions in 6 career games versus Miami. Out of 6 games played, only one of those games has this been Bills winning by 3 points or less. It was by 3 points exactly. So everything else has been pretty dominant, including at Miami. They won in 2019, 37-20. Josh Allen had himself a day. It was the last season actually that at Miami they won by 3. Here's the reason why I like the Bills this week is because you're talking about those halftime adjustments that Mike Tomlin and Steelers made. It all came on the defense, and it was all talking about that quarterback pressure. And you have a TJ Watt with the Steelers. You don't have a TJ Watt in Miami. They don't have the same type of quarterback pressure. They can try to have the same quarterback pressure, but they're not. You can do everything you can to game plan for it, but you're not going to have the skill players in order to accomplish that. So I think this time around, Josh Allen is going to have himself a much better day compared to that, because they just don't have Miami. They don't have elite pass rushers. They don't have a TJ Watt. They don't have that type of quarterback pressure that is necessary in order to contain Josh Allen. So I think we see him have himself a day, and this offense gets right back on track. The 3.5 scares me. It's the hook.
That's really what it is. If this line was 3, I would just say no opinion. I like the hook here with the Dolphins. And that's really where I said, all right, I was getting 3 in the hook. I bet it on Monday. I will say this, and I know this is something that you don't ever take into account, and I don't ever take into account until later in the week. But I did see a tweet this morning that said 91% of the tickets were on the Bills. And so it kind of made me feel just a little bit better about my 3 in the hook. I know. Again, those public teams, those public tickets are going to cash. They cash each and every weekend. It just depends on how many for that weekend. But that made me just kind of feel just a little bit better about my Dolphins pick, because you're right. I think this is the Bills game to lose, and we'll see if they start off 0-2. I think it's going to be they're going to be in a world of hurt.
So then what would you like to do? If you are super freaking, I love this Miami team at home, I'll put my trust in you, girl. I'm going to take it. We'll put it on our card. Or do you want to stick with the Panthers +3? Do you want to consider another option of the list that you sent me? I will roll with you. You feel strongly you're better at the NFL than I am. I'm trying to get there. I still gotta take some time, and you and I do things very, very differently. That's why I wanted to pair up with you this season, because you and I, the way we analyze NFL games is entirely different. I am very stats based, even in the NFL. And the thing is, I don't think that stats really matter in the NFL. It's all about it's a week to week basis and look aheads, and like it's just different. I think it's definitely more of an.
I think it is actually a really good blend of both. You mentioned before we went on, our good friend Warren Sharp, and he sent us each a freaking phone book this thick before the season started, and I'm looking at it going, holy, yeah, there it is. See, and I have the same, but mine's over there. I can't reach it. I'm strapped in here. But that being said, I have the same. I have the pages marked so that I can flip to things, because those stats do matter. I do also think that we have to remember that they're built into the line. So I think you should tell me another game that you like, and then we can just kind of figure it out from there. I think tabling the Panthers and the Dolphins is okay by me, because we've already got 3 other teams. And I think that talking through these games is something I always recommend. Me and my buddy Chris talk through games every single week. Me and my buddy Ben do the same thing. Me and my buddy Chad. I love it because you get another sports bettor's point of view. Maybe they saw something that you didn't see, right?
Right.
Doing the show with Marco and VR every single week. All of a sudden I hear something. I take notes the entire show. I hear something. I'm like, I didn't think of that. Why didn't I look at that a little bit further? And it's something that I can now take into account versus the talking heads on all the TV shows that I think don't know anything, right? So
all right, well then another game that potentially we could have is, or opposite, like I said, we're opposite on a few of these, but you like the Bears, I like the Bengals. It's not just because it's Joe Burrow, but it's because Bengals have a pass rush. You give me a pass rush against an Andy Dalton, I'm always going to consider that as a first option. And this Bears defense, they haven't had a defense. I love the Bears. I got my Bears, but I can't trust them. Their defense has been kind of fallen off the wayside in the last couple of seasons. We saw them as an over team to close out 2020, and they're kind of starting to be the same. And it's Andy Dalton against a pass rush and a Bengals defense that actually looked really good last week.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, I thought looked excellent. I thought that was a really gutsy call in overtime to win the game. Very proud of him, especially coming off an injury, how well he's been able to persevere. I was not that high on the Vikings. So I wonder if the Vikings are just a little bit lower than what we once thought. This is a Bears team. I made 3.5. So getting 2.5 is almost a gift through that key number of 3, in my opinion. Now, I haven't bet it yet. And the reason why I said it was a lean was because I'm with you, Pam. I don't trust this defense. And until my eyes show me that I can, it's better for me to stay off a game than to place a bad bet. And bookmakers adjusting from that 3.5 to 2.5 is probably warranted from that Sunday night game. So to me, it's kind of just probably a pass type of situation. I did consider the Bengals in a teaser, getting them up through that 3 and 7. So I'm with you there. I think that we can maybe find a better game on the board. Do you think I could convince you to jump on the Ravens bandwagon with me over Kansas City?
Ravens and let me hear it.
All right. So what did we see last week? What's the latest ingrained in our memory, besides the field goal fest that was Thursday night, was the Ravens losing in Las Vegas. There were multiple opportunities for the Ravens to win that game.
Yes.
Now, the Raiders looked scrappy. They played tough. Carl Nassib was able to get that late recovery. There were a magnitude of things that went into that game, but the Ravens, the first half looked excellent. I don't think that they made the adjustments. And I think maybe they were looking ahead to this Kansas City game. as far as the Kansas City game goes. Did they play defense at all in the first half? I only caught the second half of the game. It was 22-10, I think, at halftime. And all of a sudden, we're at the bar in Detroit, and I'm going, oh, good. Kansas City finally decided to show up and play defense. I did play the Browns plus 6.5 last week, which was nice to not have to sweat it. The Browns should have absolutely won that game. 110%. That was their game to lose. I am concerned about this Kansas City defense. We saw last year Kansas City was not a great ATS team. 3.5 with the Baltimore Ravens. Boy, at home. And now I know everybody's going to say Kansas City owns the Ravens. They have for the past, I believe, last 5 games. I got to take it. I got to take the overreaction here and think that I'm getting some value here with the home team.
The Ravens are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games as an underdog. They are also 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 games overall. And the over has hit 4-1 in Baltimore's last 5 home games, which I like that reference because it tells me that points are going to be scored. And if you tell me that the Ravens are able to put up points and this game is not going to be a blowout to either side. And what I like about the Chiefs is that they did give up 153 rushing yards to the Browns last week. But are we confident that the Ravens have this rushing ability because they had to switch to pass heavy last week because of that lack of running back core?
No, they did sign Freeman, which is going to be interesting. I thought that was an interesting pick over Le'Veon Bell, by the way. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. What's best for your team. I think we will see the Ravens as well as Lamar Jackson absolutely run all over this Chiefs defense.
How about we do the Ravens then?
I'm on board. I like it. One more that you may like, whether if it's Panthers or you think we should discuss an additional.
Well, Panthers was not the 3.5. It was a 3.
And that's why I think we tabled it, and we should maybe consider.
If you want to do swap them for the Ravens.
Yes, let's swap them for the Ravens.
Okay, then we can do that. So then we do have a card that completes our card. So then it would be Colts plus 3.5 at home to the Rams, Chargers -3 at home to the Cowboys. We're saying no to the Panthers plus 3 because we're not getting that hook. I'm going to go with my best bet of Eagles plus 3.5 at home for the Niners. And then our 5th pick is going to be the Ravens plus 3.5 at home to the Chiefs. I love
it.
I kind of like it.
And just like that, I feel so confident. I think we got a 4-1, 5-0 card in front of us, Pam.
Oh my God, fingers freaking crossed, girl, because it's going to happen. I know. And I like that we talked about this because, yeah, when I saw your list, I was like, what are we going to do?
I feel like that's when I send my list to anybody, they're like, oh my God, Kelly, why? Why do you do this? And it's just, I don't mean to be a contrarian. I think it just ends up that way by the end of the week. Most of my bets are already placed by Tuesday. So I have no idea what anybody else is playing. And it just kind of seems to work itself out in the wash.
So those are the 5 picks that we're going to roll with this week in the contest. We went 3-2 last week. I think potentially we have a 5-0 on our card this week. Do make sure to follow Kelly on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. You can follow me on Twitter at Pamela M35. Girl, we got this. Let's do it. Fingers crossed. I think we're going 5-0. Speak it.
Let's have a great week.
Y'all, good luck with your bets. And that's another episode of Stack of Stacks.